Disney Pixar's newest movie, Hoppers, has officially released in theaters, so it is time to talk about it. This movie is directed by Daniel Chong, starring Piper Curda, Bobby Moynihan, as well as Jon Hamm. Hoppers is about a 19-year-old girl who is infatuated with animals, who hops her mind into a robotic beaver, which allows her to uncover and discover all of the lovely mysteries of nature. So we're going to dive into this movie and help you decide whether or not it's the right one to watch as a Christian right now. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm your host Tim, and we exist to help Christians live in the world, not of the world, by utilizing our convictions in the movies and shows we watch. Hoppers is rated PG for some action and peril, some scary images, as well as some mild language. So we're going to dive into any convictions you may have that may prevent you from watching Hoppers, any theological themes present within it, and wrap it up with my own personal thoughts on the movie. Without further ado, let's dive into the Christian Conviction Meter. If this is your first time here, the Christian Conviction Meter is 5 convictions that may distract or hinder your relationship with Jesus. This is a resource to help you determine whether or not Hoppers aligns with the convictions that God has given you. And kicking things off with violence and gore, this is a Pixar animated movie, which means the categories here are going to be a little bit lower. But all of that to say, there are still some things to talk about. There is some fire, some explosions. There also is a few big chase sequences, particularly towards the end of the film, in which animals are trying to attack or finding ways to go after humans. That's about as much as I'm going to lead on with spoilers here. But there is that is towards the end of the movie. It can get pretty intense, not necessarily crazy action-packed, but it definitely can be pretty action-oriented at times. I will also say that the fire does sweep through, causing people to be in panic and things of that sort, running, dodging things of that sort. Those are all things to keep in mind with this movie. So all of that to say, because of the fire and explosions, which definitely caught me off guard a little bit, we're going to give this a 2 out of 5 just to be on the safe side with this one. Our next 3 categories are lust, profanity, substances, and I'm grouping these all together because I didn't find anything here. Lust, there's nothing. It's a PG Pixar animated movie. You're not going to have this in any way, shape, or form in this category. Substances, once again, tying back to the fact that it is a Pixar film, you're not really going to have much in the way of this category either. And then profanity, once again, it's a Disney Pixar animated movie. I've said that 3 times now. But again, you don't have a lot in these categories. It does say mild language, so I will preface the fact that there is a bit of more adult humor. Nothing like any sort of sexual innuendos or anything of that sort that I at least could pick up, but there is some more adult humor that if you are aware of certain language or certain phrases, things of that sort, it is done with a PG twist, obviously, but it's more geared for the adults who know the content rather than just a kid or your child watching this film. And so, again, all of that to say, I don't really think there's anything to be very, very cautious of. But as always, if you always want to double check, I am leaving the IMDB parent guide down below for you to check out in case you need it for a little extra confidence going into this film. All of these 3 categories are going to be a 0 out of 5. Our last category is intense/horror scenes. This is not a horror movie, so you don't have any of the horror elements to worry about within this film. But as the PG rating did say, there are a few kind of creepier images. There's a whole thing about obviously talking about robots, and some of the moments with the robots can be pretty creepy, especially towards the end of the film based on some of the events that happen within it. Some of the movements, things, the way the robot moves, carries itself, things of that sort can be a little creepy or disturbing for you and definitely for younger viewers, so that is something to keep in mind. At the same time too, there are fire, explosions, like I mentioned, there's also that big chase sequence that is there as well. I will also say this, when you go from human's perspective, the animals have black eyes, kind of like a Funko Pop. And so that is something to keep in mind. It still is an animated movie, so they're not going to go big and grand in its intensity, nor should it. It's meant to be for families, and you don't want to scare families away from a potential good time at the movies. So all of that to say, we are still going to give this a 2 out of 5 though, just to be on the safe side here. It's more kind of creepier elements more than its intensity in some of these cases, but those are just things to keep in mind. So our grand total on the conviction meter is going to be a 4 out of 25. Definitely lower on the conviction meter, but there still is a few things to keep in mind, particularly with its violence and its action, as well as, of course, its intensity and a bit of the creepiness that could be a part of this movie. Once again, particularly for those younger viewers, if you're looking at watching this movie with your child, those are just some things to keep in mind. All of that to say, though, if anything we talked about compromises your convictions in any way, shape, or form, don't worry about watching Hoppers. No movie is more important than your relationship with Jesus, so make sure to keep him first. This leads us beautifully into our next category as we dive into some theological themes that are present within Hoppers. While I will talk about this when we get to a review portion, there is a surprising amount of heart that is contained within this movie. And one of the themes here, without diving too much into spoilers here, there is a big theme within the movie about brokenness and loneliness that is a part of the movie. And that can very well be resonant with a lot of people. When change happens, whether you lose a loved one, or you move to a new place, or you have a new job, or you move off to college, whatever it looks like, when change happens, there can be moments in time where things just feel crazy, where they feel just very broken, more than normal, and you just feel very lonely because you haven't found your people, you haven't found the right church in your new space yet, or whatever that looks like. We've all gone through seasons of brokenness and loneliness. But I will say this, is even though we've all dealt with it, we all can have that commonality to it, that we've all walked through this, that you're not alone in it. Yet at the same time too, we also know as followers of Jesus that, yeah, God is with us. Even when he seems far away, even when he seems out of reach, God is still there and present. I want to encourage you with this verse from Isaiah 41, verse 10. It reads this: "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Now, obviously, in this passage, it's talking about fear. And fear, of course, can come in many different ways. And while this movie in particular isn't talking about fear, it is talking about change and feeling lonely. And in some of those moments, fear can creep in. But we have to remind ourselves that we are not alone. No matter what situation, trial, test, etc. that we have in our lives, God is with us through it. And he may not give us the answers we're looking for, or he may give us an answer we may not even expect. God is still with us in the midst of loneliness. And even when it feels like there is no one around, he is still there, he is still present, and he still cares. And I know for some of you, there may be a desire of, how does this look practically in my life? And I wish I could give you a perfect example to help you, but I do know is that I would just highly encourage you is to find someone you can talk to. Reach out to someone. I know times in my life where I felt lonely, or I felt like things are just out of control, or there's just so much brokenness around me, and I don't have anyone I can physically talk to. I've used my phone to call people I trust, people I care about, people I can be vulnerable and honest with, and I would highly encourage you to do that as well. It's the same as grabbing coffee or going to the local spot in town and grabbing a bite to eat. No, there's something beautiful about those one-on-one conversations like that in person. But I know those conversations, they've helped me in times when I've needed it, and I'd encourage you to do the same if you can. So I hope in some way, shape, or form that encouraged you. I know I always need a reminder, especially because loneliness is something a lot of us struggle with. I know myself, I've had many moments in my life where that definitely can be a big chunk of my mental energy and focus. And so just wanted to encourage you there, and I hope it did. All of that to say, though, let's dive into what I think of Hoppers. And this by far is Pixar's weirdest movie yet, which is funny because after what we just talked about, which was pretty heavy, we're going to talk about the fact that this movie is really weird, and it is, but it has such a great charm. It has a lot of funny moments, and kind of what I alluded to there, it has a surprising amount of heart as well, which really kind of brings back to the roots of what makes Pixar so special. The story overall is solid and it's very easy to follow. I won't lie, yes, it is a movie talking about conservation and things of that sort, but I wouldn't say the film is overly preachy in any way, shape, or form. I think it does a good job at the balance of being fun and entertaining while also talking about things that are pretty prevalent. And that leads into the characters, and I overall really enjoy the characters in this film. They've got a lot of really good moments, whether it's of heart or it's of humor. I mean, this film, the second I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, this is very much like kind of Vine coded. Like, there is so much of that Vine humor that old Gen Z grew up with, myself included in that. And so I enjoyed a lot of the humor of this film. Of course, obviously, you do have the iconic
lizard, 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 lizard.
And don't worry, Tom is fantastic and we absolutely adore him. But the characters here are charming, they're fun. I really like all the characters in this film. There's not one that I have a specific gripe with or one that's like, you kind of bring down the film for me. They're all very enjoyable. But what surprised me the most about this film is its heart. There is, like I talked about in our theological theme section of the review, there is a lot of conversations about brokenness and being lonely and loneliness. And change, particularly from loss. And obviously, there's a lot to navigate through that, but it leads to a surprising kind of emotional pull for the film, and also a surprising amount of heart that I think, while yes, it is entertaining, and yes, it is funny, I think is the secret sauce to this film, and why I think it's probably going to go on to honestly want to be one of Pixar's most underrated films.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
And I truly do think it is going to be that. It is entertaining where it needs to be. It's funny where it needs to be. Just had a big smile on my face in watching this film. It was surprising in many ways, and I really enjoyed it. It is definitely one of Pixar's strongest films as of late, and it's one that honestly has me excited about the future of Pixar, of them continuing to be back at, the rightful spot in animation where we all know they're capable of, where they had that crazy run from 1995 to 2009. I think this film can really be one that a lot of people will look on fondly, and I'm very excited for all of you to check it out in theaters. Plus, on top of that, the animation's really cool here as well, makes it unique, helps it to stand out among Pixar's catalog. All that to say, it's a fun, entertaining time at the movies. I'm giving it an 8.3 out of 10. Thoroughly enjoyed this film. Highly recommend you go to the theater to check it out. And those are my thoughts, so let me know yours down in the comments below. Let's chat all things about Hoppers in the comments if you have seen it, or if you're going to see it. We can talk about that as well. Of course, while you're down there, consider hitting that like and subscribing for us. Joining our community here on YouTube just helps send us out into that algorithm and allows us to reach more Christians to help them utilize their convictions in the movies and shows we watch. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with us here. We truly appreciate it. It means the absolute world to us. Before you go, there's a few video recommendations here that YouTube is suggesting to you. Yes, you. One of which is our review of Elio from last year, the last Pixar film that they released. So if you want to check out my thoughts on that, it's available here. And there's a surprise YouTube pick that I have no idea what they've chosen for you. I hope it's a good one, and we'll see you all in the next one.